Good evening, everybody. I hope this video finds you all well. I hope you're all doing good, great, having a fabulous time. Okay, the title of this video is Why Sound Social Science Research and Theory Must Form the Basis of Better Cross Cultural Understanding. This is also a very important video. Little bit off the beat, off the beaten track. Okay, I have been writing for several decades now. I think my mission is now over 20 years old at this time. Okay, I would like to say why social science theory must form the basis of better cross-cultural understanding. Why social science theory will put different cultures on a stronger wicket. Provide social science theory is strong, unlike what Marxists, Hindutva, and other people propose or postulate. What exactly are the social sciences? Social sciences are academic disciplines that study how people interact with each other in their societies. They include the study of human behavior, culture, affinities, social institutions that shape people's lives. Okay. Examples of social sciences include anthropology, economics, geography, history, linguistics, political science, psychology, sociology, etc. And these science in the sciences and fields of study probably need no introduction to you at all. Okay, and these findings from this field of study are naturally used to inform public policy, education, and other areas. However, they have failed to live up to their reputation. They failed to make a mark, especially in non-Western contexts, non-Western societies, where cultures are a little bit at variance, little bit different from those in the West. Okay, unlike in mathematics, one plus one is always two all over the world. Okay, every action has an equal and opposite reaction in physical senses. This is true all over the world. But this is not true in the social sciences. Social sciences, there will be cultural variations always. Why social sciences are different from other sciences? First thing is culture specific concepts are required. Inductive approaches are necessary. We need to examine a large number of cases and draw generalizations therefrom gradually. Deductive approaches may be applied in some cases. Okay, you may use general idea to reach a specific conclusion. It is possible, but by and large, as I mentioned previously, 1 or 2 years ago, approaches in social sciences need to be inductive, unless they can otherwise be satisfactorily justified. Data driven from diverse cultural contexts may be necessary. Case study method may be used. This includes critical, unique, and revelatory cases. Grounded theory is required. Grounded theory is a research method that involves systematically collecting and analyzing data from the ground to create a comprehensive and a widely acceptable theory. It's a qualitative research method that is often used in the social sciences such as education, psychology, medicine, etc. Cross-cultural research design is also required. Cross-cultural research design are research designs that compare human behaviors across one or more cultures and they adopt a dialectical approach. Okay, correlational research is also required. Findings from one study must be correlated with another field of study without any bias or prejudice. Cross-sectional studies are also observation studies that analyze data from population at a single point in time. They are different from longitudinal studies. Okay, we have cohort studies in cross-sectional studies. Okay, these must also be adopted. We must have emic perspectives, which means looking at issues from one's own point of view. This may be diverse, non-diverse emic, then representative emic, non-representative ethic, etc. We must have ethic perspectives, looking at issues from other person's perspective. Ethnic, which are a combination of emic and ethic. These terms were coined in the year 1954 by the linguist Kenneth Pike for cultural studies. Okay, hypothetical deductive approaches may not be used as far as possible. Formulates this approach formulates hypothesis and test hypothesis with more and more data. I'm really not convinced that this should be widely applicable in social sciences unless it can be properly justified. Some people also use the deductive nomological approach. Deductive nomological approach or DN method is a scientific explanation model that uses laws to explain phenomena. This is also known as Hempel's model or covering law model, okay, or Hempel-Oppenheim model. Okay, ideology driven approaches must also be avoided as should always. They must not be followed. They may weaken the case nilly-willy that people may have, particularly in cases of India, China, Africa, and other places. What exactly is an ideology? An ideology is a set of ideas, beliefs, values that a group of people share. It can also be a style of thought or worldview. Okay, ideologies are synonymous with doctrines, creeds, dogma, philosophies, axioms, theories, gospels, etc., which lack universal applicability or validity. If you see the history of the term ideology, I have repeated this many times. It was first used by the French philosopher Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It was influenced by the works of John Locke and Etienne Bono de Condillac. Ideologies render people unable to think comprehensively, rationally, and deeply and foundationally. Ideologies include economic conservatism, fiscal conservatism, communism, Marxism, etc. These all satisfy the hallmarks of an ideology. Okay, That is why I am saying Marxist intellectuals beware. If intellectuals is the right word here, Hindutva groups beware, Dravidian nationalists beware. Ideology-driven approaches may weaken their own case, and they may actually provide ammunition to the other group in the long term. Okay, ideology-free approaches will boost cultural performance. Ideology-free performance will boost the case for emic perspectives and will allow a million voices to be heard, diverse voices. Indians tend to boast and behave irrationally. That's because they are not properly understood, and we have not had a proper scientific cross-cultural dialogue or debate. This promotes cross-cultural strife. Marxists seem to have been out of their breath here. They have not understood this issue properly, comprehensively, or completely. For example, we have had Amartya Sen. He may be a brilliant economist, but he had a left-leaning orientation. He wrote a book called The Argumentative Indian. He argued that Indians were always argumentative. But however, there is an underlying reason behind all this, which he does not appear to have grasped or understood. Similarly, Marxist historiography is biased and one-sided. Marxist historiography does not satisfy any of the objects of 21st century historiography that I have proposed. Please read 39 plus 49, base plus core plus anthropological objectives. Okay, it falls far short and is hopelessly inadequate and unsatisfactory. And because it is one-sided, I will always say one kind of bias legitimizes every other kind of bias. This is a social science equivalent of physics theory in physics. One kind of reaction, one action has an equal and opposite. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Okay. Therefore, Marxist intellectualism is limited. It is one-sided. It is warped. It is distorted. Deals with a highly limited set of issues. In the words of Ramachandra Guha, Marxist historians may be silly, limited, one-sided, and flawed, but allowing Hindutva groups to take charge of history will lead to street fights. Marxist historically, just like Hindutva people may be poisoned, but Marxist historically people are stupid. They polarize people more. They create huge ideological distances between North and South Indians, for example. They alienate people more. They push people towards more radical and alternative ideas of history. Marxists contribute heavily to cultural polarization. The same is the case with Dravidian nationalism, Hindutva, and Dalit nationalism also. Pedagogy is also now obsolete. I have written extensively about this in the past. Developing countries must take the lead. It is time has come for this to take the lead. It is not possible to depend on developed countries alone because there are a lot of vested interests involved everywhere. Okay, because trying to universalize social sciences will weaken the case of the West. They will not do it. So Indians, Chinese, and Africans have to take the lead here. Colonial Marxist imperialist school of intelligence. This is what I have called. It is also obsolete. For example, some Marxists say that nothing existed between the Gangetic place before the Islamic period. This discounts even the Mauryan Empire, which is well established. Okay, Irfan Habib apparently said this. But when they want to criticize Hinduism, they point out to earlier periods in Indian history. D. N. Jha and others are critical of the Gupta period. Marxist historians praise the Mughal period and the Mauryan empires to the skies. People can see through the double standards. Marxist historians have no commitment to science, society, or education. They are only committed to their own ideology. Okay, one should not support at the same time Hindutva either. Hindutva, however, was either fringe or non-mainstream. However, Marxist historiography was mainstream and non-fringe. That's why we need to criticize it more. Marxist intellectualism, if that is the use, if that can be used, that word can be used within quotes, double quotes, may actually increase Hindutva more. Marxist historians have maintained that all schools have been promoted. They have been legitimizing Hindutva directly or indirectly. Hindutva should be eliminated. We should not give it a reason to exist. Marxists cannot say that we are allowing Hindutva also to exist. Marxist, this thing is saying each person has his own ideology, follows his own ideology. I'm an idiot, he's also an idiot. Let us both be idiots and let us both thrive and flourish. This is not correct. For example, Pranab Mukherjee said in 2006, he was a former president of India, historians must guard against saffronization or crimsonization of history and avoid trying to find answers to bitter controversies through a non-objective approach. Okay, saffronization and crimsonization are of no consequence. There should be continuous judgment and dispassionate pursuit of the truth. Mukherjee said while inaugurating the 66th Indian History Congress here, Shantinikan, West Bengal. What exactly is Marxist academic Marxism? This is also known as intellectual Marxism. Intellectual Marxism is a Marxist theory that applies historical materialism to the intelligentsia. It also considers the role of intellectuals in the labor movement, particularly in revolutionary politics. It has a very narrow focus, but they also contribute to analyzing history from the prism of their class struggle, or whatever you want to call it. This is based on historical materialism. It mostly studies material factors in determining historical outcomes. The core theory of Marxism, which uses a materialistic and dialectical approach of history to analyze social conflict, class relations, social change. These three mainly, but again from a highly limited perspective. Intelligentsia is a social class made of university educated people who use their mental labor to shape, critique, and lead the society's culture, politics, and process. We have again cultural Marxists, and we have Marxist intelligence. Again, they are rooted in that very old-fashioned and antiquated ideologies. It is not comprehensive enough. We have had intellectuals in the labor movement. They have been involved in strikes, lockouts, kartal, geraos, haltals, etc. They have led to a dip in scientific output, intellectual output, economic output also mainly. And we have had other schools of thought such as structural Marxism, functional Marxism based on structuralism and Marxist ideas. We also have Marxist-Leninist schools of ideas which focus on multi-stage communist revolution to replace capitalism. The entire concept apparently is obsolete, has no currency. The only thriving South Korea, communist society as of today is North Korea, but there is very little chance that communism will, can be resuscitated. We must therefore get rid of academic Marxism to the extent it is limited, flawed, and misleading. For example, just like Jyoti Basu destroyed the economy of West Bengal, Marxist intellectuals will destroy science, society, and the education system. Jyoti Basu destroyed many sectors such as jute and manufacturing in West Bengal. In 1980-81, West Bengal accounted for 7.2% of GDP at factor cost at current prices. 10 years later, that had dropped to 6.1. In the field of education, too, there has only been decline in West Bengal. In 1982, famously or infamously, West Bengal removed English from primary schools. At one point in time, most government jobs were occupied by Bengalis. They were known as Badrologs, intelligentsia. Today, we find that Bengalis are not able to compete with northeastern states when it comes to competitive exams. I interviewed a boy who has finished his 12th standard. Okay, he did not understand the meaning of 12th. Okay, and 12 he understood but not properly. I asked him some basic questions like sit, stand, he didn't understand after completing 12. Okay, the entire education system is so politicized. The only thing students seem to have learned during the communist period were politics. Okay, and they could not even compete with people in northeastern states or Orissa or even Jharkhand or Bihar to some extent. D and Ja, hardliner dogmatic Marxist historian, was a similar nutcase. Hindutva can only be a silent to a neutral policy and not by imposing a counter ideology. This will make Hindus furious and give them more reason to shout out against Marxism and mainstream historiography. Marxists apparently destroyed intellectualism as well. Marxists also destroyed the education system wherever they were involved. They also politicized every institution they were involved in and destroyed industry also. There was only politics and very little science in Marxist historiography. Marxist historiography only say one thing: all ideologies have been followed. That means each individual has been allowed to wallow in his or her own stupidity, as I told you. Marxist historians have been promoting Hindutva indirectly. Suppression is not the way. Marxists polarize people even more. Hindutva was largely reactionary. Hindutva may have been largely born out of ignorance, but we must teach people, ignorant people, the truth. We must not uh, promote a counter ideology, and they are not interested in fighting. Some of them are not interested in fighting Hindutva for sake of fighting Hindutva. They're only interested in protecting their own ideology. Marxist historians have not taken enough initiative in solving historical puzzles, such as the Aryan problem. They have not fostered objectivity in scholarship. The Aryan problem, for example, has preoccupied scholars since the middle of the 19th century. Nazis misused the Aryan problem. Hindutva people misuse the Aryan problem. Dravidian people, scholars misuse the Aryan problem. Complexity and ramifications of the Aryan problem were never understood by scholars in their entirety. Oversimplifications were adopted. This has led to stereotyping and cultural misunderstanding. Cross-cultural research design has not been adopted. Identity of the Aryans, whether Dravidian, Vedic, Paramunda, none of the three above has led to ideological confusion. Okay, each person has his own pet theory. Better social sciences research techniques must be adopted. Okay, for example, if you see another burning issue, race and IQ, there is enough evidence to show that existing data is not sufficient to draw conclusions. Read my paper on the certainty uncertainty principle. Read my paper on the on quashing racism and the comprehensive social cultural persecution complex. And interestingly, in this regard, James Watson made some controversial remarks on racism against blacks and Africans and was even chastised for it in academic circles. These remarks were loose, unsubstantiated, and unbecoming of a scientist. Skin color is due to pigment called melanin. Correlation does not imply correlation. Just because you have dark skin, it does not obviously mean that you're less intelligent. We need more intelligence and thought leaders, and we need more comprehensive paradigms to be understood. Similarly, social science research techniques, if soundly and appropriately adopted, will also eliminate, weed out cultural bottlenecks. These must be identified by researchers through cultural taxonomy, comparative method, high-low values method of dimensional analysis, analysis of mind orientation, analysis of cultural orientation, evaluation of cultural performance, ethnography, okay, and eliminating cultural bottlenecks can lead to better cultural understanding. Tools and techniques to identify ideologies must also be developed by researchers. For example, we may have absence of pragmatism, practicalism, and dynamism, vitality, presence of vested interest, promotion of self-interest, promoting the interests of a small, restricted, or closed group, dogma and rigidity of thought, intransigence of thought, excessively normative and prescriptive approaches, association with big personality and charisma, unnatural and unnecessary cult following, brainwashing, mental persuasion, making tall, unsubstantiated, and grandiose claims, goading people towards an action or a goal, dealing with only a limited set of issues, working by cutting off flow of information, conflict with human nature, excessive weightage to opinion, scientific methodology and epistemology not followed, lack of epistemic coherentism, conflict with human rights, conflict with universal human values, conflict with thought, not based on balance and harmony, conflict with international peace and harmony, associated with a culture or group of people only, promotion of a political agenda, promotion of a linguistic agenda, promotion of an economic agenda, promotion of a religious agenda, ideologies of thought, identification of ideologies based on other downstream implications may also be adopted. Identification of ideologies based on abstracts may be adopted. Absence of constructive criticism, use of personal attacks, use of dubious claims, conspiracy theories, appeals to authority, use of other forms of pseudoscience, use of behavioral analysis can also be adopted, use of discourse analysis can also be adopted. All these are characteristics of ideologies must be done away with. Okay, if you see, for example, there are other problems with Marxist solutions. If you see the Sri Lankan problem, for example, it led to the rise of the LTT against Velupille Prabhakaran, and Indian Tamils were stripped of their citizenship. Tamils were dominated in education; they had to score more marks. Okay, and again, Khalisthani problem also, it was born in a very small way as a part of the Anandpur Sahib resolution. They wanted a small list of demands. Some people told Indira Gandhi to satisfy their demands, so because it would keep on growing, but Indira Gandhi refused to concede because she was more interested in her own. What do you say, over centralized approach, which led to a million muties everywhere, right from Assam to Punjab to Kashmir and South India, also parts of South India. USSR breakup also was due to similar policies. For example, the Russification uh, of the USSR continued during Brezhnev and other people. And similarly, imposition of Urdu on East Pakistan or Bangladesh also led to the breakup. Okay, we have not gone away from Marxist solutions entirely. Okay, and social sciences researchers are not interested in reforming Islam or making the world a better place to them. Okay, they have a narrow perspective of religions. For example, we have had concepts such as Islamoleftism. I have written about it in depth. We also need to have identity modulation. Identity may encompass personal identity, religious identity, national or territorial identity, linguistic identity, political identity, biological identity, social identity, cultural identity. We have identity wars still taking place, and historians have not, non-social science researchers have not tried to make the world a better place. There's a long, long, long way to go. As a matter of fact, social science research is a pathetic and lousy joke. Okay, mostly drawn by armchair thought and what do you call it, arcane thought, esoteric thoughts. Okay, and this is only this is the reason why we still have, I have found told you 10 points how we must try to get rid of religion. I have repeated this in a parrot like fashion many times. I would not like to repeat it again and again here. We have had groups such as ISIS, Al Qaeda, Taliban, Boko Haram. Even educated people seem to be falling for this in many ways, and I don't see this to be a good trend at all. People like Shami and Ma Begum have gone and joined the ISIS. They were recently stripped of US case citizenship, many of them, and we have had Christian reformist movements like Martin Luther had launched the Protestant reform movement, because the churches were issuing indulgences at the time, had become highly corrupt. Just like that, we have had within Hinduism, Arya Samaj, Brahmo Samaj, Deva Samaj, etc. Jyotiba Phule fought against the caste system. There was a Bengal Renaissance, which was launched by Raja Ramamohan Roy and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. They were great intellectualism. They were great intellectuals. This led to better education for the people, and they fought against negative aspects of religion also. Okay, and similarly, lot of work needs to be done to develop universal human values. Universal human values are values that are shared by all people regardless of the culture, nationality, or personal history. Some, to some extent, they have been proposed by Sam Harris and Dalai Lama. However, we still have a long, long way to go. Examples of universal human values are love, truth, right conduct, peace, non-violence, honesty, loyalty, self-respect, etc. And Mahatma Gandhi and other people try to do them in their own limited way. And coming to left-leaning intellectualism, I spoke about 10 gods that fail. God that failed, part one, is Marxist economic praxis. God that failed, part two, is Marxist geography. God that failed, part three, is left-leaning intellectualism. God that failed, part four, is attempts to eradicate religion without understanding the human psyche. The God that failed, that like it was done in the USSR. The God that failed, part five, is over centralization of power, like attempted by Indira Gandhi. The God that failed, part six, is trying to impose the linguistic uniformity artificially over a multilingual region. The God that failed, part seven, is family planning through force, as done by proposed by Sanjay Gandhi during the infamous emergency between 1971 and 1977. The God that failed, part 8, is the basis of nationalism. Diversity must form the basis in a democratic society. You cannot impose uniformity using artificial techniques. The God that failed, part 9, is theological concept of God. Okay, it is based on a Christian-centric theist versus atheistic debate dialogue, but many issues much more complex than that. The God that failed, part 10, is basis of rationalism. That is why we need 21st century intellectualism and intellectualism by objectives. We need a current set of issues to form a basis. We need to build up a meritocracy. Even Indology was a catastrophic failure because many Western scholars didn't understand India or ancient India. They spoke about the so-called Indo-Iranian language, but they get to be reconciled with the Kurgan hypothesis, BMS hypothesis, the rural post-Harappan India hypothesis by Mortimer Wheeler. The notion of early second migrations must have happened much earlier. The idea that the Aryans lived in the Punjab is absurd. Illiterate support Harappan India hypothesis is absurd. Imbalanced coverage, focusing only on the Muslim rule and the Mauryan Empire. Okay, arguing against the Vedic Harappan equation using all the wrong regions. Okay, India-specific approaches have never been adopted, and what is interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary approaches have not been adopted. We also need foundationalism, identifying the foundational issues in social sciences first. We also need irreducible simplicity and communication of ideas to the masses. Proper historiography. I have written about the weaknesses of Marxist historiography in 5 papers. Okay, so again, models to study Hinduism are obsolete. These only throw up counter reactions and polarize people more. They will also damage the relationship between groups of people. Okay, non-natural models therefore not be trust on people. Okay, non-balanced approaches and non-natural models must not be trusted on people. People may become aggressive, defensive, or withdrawn. Okay, that is why I have written a detailed book on the need to modernize social sciences research. This was published in Google Books. I request you to read this. It talks about different fields of study such as economics, philosophy, and psychology, sociology, anthropology, etc. Please do give it a read. With this, I'm ending my video. It's not possible to cover everything in one single video, but you will need to read all my books and publications uh, collectively together. Thank you very much once again. Bye.